Hello and welcome to this quick guide on how to set up your Pupper avatar and a few other things you might want to know before you get started. First and foremost, you're going to want to download the two files from the Gumroad or the Jinxie page. I already have them here. You just want to click and extract them into any folder, but I'm just going to use this folder here. Quick drag, extract. And if you download the additional PSD files, you're going to want to do the same thing. The same folder, so we're all nice and neat together. After you've extracted your files, you want to set up the VRChat Creator Companion. I've already set it up here, but I've linked a couple videos on the main page on how to get it started. It's a little bit of a setup, but I highly recommend going through it because it makes life so much easier. So you're going to want to come over here and create a new project. You want to click Unity 2022 Avatar Project. And find a folder where you want to keep it. I'm just going to be using my VRChat stuff folder because that's what I've been using. And then you want to name your project whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Just name it something that you will remember later on. I'm just going to type my Pupper. And you want to hit create project and then go through the process of getting everything ready for you. After it's done doing its thing, you're going to want to make sure you got everything updated. You'll see a little green arrow next to everything and you just want to click update. It might give you a little warning, just hit confirm. You'll go through its process of updating everything, and you want to do the same thing for anything that shows a little green arrow. If you've taken the time to set up the repositories, you'll be able to find your required items here in this list. You're going to first want to install VRC Fury by clicking the little plus here. You'll go through the process of getting it all sorted and installed for you right into your project. You don't have to extract anything, you don't have to fiddle with any kind of settings, it just does it for you. And then when it's done, you'll pop it to the top of the list. And after that, you want to install the Pyomi Toon Shader right here. It'll take a little bit to install. When that's done, you want to go down here to the VRCFD Jerry's templates. If you're using face tracking, you want to use this. This is the only one I've been using. I love it. It's great. Let's hit the plus and we'll go through its process and pop it up at the top here when it's done. And then there you go. You're done. You got it all set up and ready to go. After everything's installed, you want to come up here and hit Open Project. Now, Unity will start loading your project, getting everything ready, compiled. It might take a while for it all to load in, but once it's done, you'll be able to get right into your project. After a good amount of time, Unity will finally open and you'll have a blank project ready to go. Don't worry if it takes a while. It usually does the first time, but afterwards, it usually launches much faster. So once you're done and you got everything open and you're looking at this blank page, you want to come over here to the files you extracted earlier, and you want to go to the Unity folder and grab the ScoutArtz Pupper Release 1.0 Unity package. You're going to want to drag and drop this into the shelf here. It'll take a moment to process. Don't worry if it freaks out a little bit. Then you'll be presented with this window here, and it should show all the files for the avatar. You want to make sure all of these are checked. If some are missing, which they probably shouldn't, you want to make sure every single one's checked or else you might run into issues. Then you just simply click import and it'll go through and import all the assets of the avatar. After a bit more time, the avatar will be extracted and ready to go. Don't worry if you see some errors down here. I'm not sure what the error is for, but it doesn't seem to affect anything. I've tested this quite rigorously and I've not had any problems. You know, always go to here, hit clear, and any other little errors in here shouldn't be too problematic. But if you have any problems, please let me know. So you want to come in here, Pupper, and you want to come into Scenes, and you want to pick whichever version you plan on using. If you plan on using face tracking, you want to open the face tracking scene. If you don't plan on using face tracking, you can just open the regular scene. You can, however, still use the regular avatar without face tracking while using the face tracking version. You just have to make sure the face tracking options are turned off inside. You also have a third option here called the naked option, which is a blank version of the avatar with nothing on it, but I'll touch on that a little bit later. For this example, I'm going to use the face tracking version. Simply double click the scene and it will open up. Don't worry if all the avatars are blue, this is just the shaders compiling initially. It didn't happen here because I've previously opened this project. Simply go zoom in and make sure everything looks okay. You should have no missing textures, nothing should be overly shiny. Just make sure everything imported properly and you're good to go. How I've set this up is that you have 4 preset versions. You got Goldie, Shep, Husky, and Beagle. Then you have a 5th version called the Custom. And this is the one I expect, or at least hope, that you edit first and foremost. All the materials for the model are separated out here into its own thing. So you can go later on if you decide to either use Photoshop or Substance Painter and export your custom textures to these files here, and it will automatically update this version of the model. You can edit these models in the back, but I highly suggest going for this one first. It doesn't matter, you might have to re-extract these existing textures, which I've added as a backup, by the way, in here, if you ever need them. But you might need to re-extract the textures if you've edited them and want the original versions back. To upload a model, you want to first click and figure out which one you want to upload. For this example, I'm going to use Goldie here. You want to come up here to VRChat SDK, go to the Show Control panel, and I usually like to dock it right here so I have a bit more room to work. You're going to log into your account here. After you've logged in, it should show this screen here. You want to make sure that there's no red alerts here. A few of these are fine, they're just due to how I have the ARM set up. It gives a little warning, but it's fine. It's not affected anything. You want to make sure your performance is set as medium if you're using the one with clothing, and that nothing is really airing out. It shouldn't, but again, if it does, please let me know. You're going to want to enter the name of your avatar, so type Goldie, and then you're going to want to hit select image for the thumbnail. And it should pop you out in the folder, but if not, navigate to your Pupper, Pupper, text and mats, and thumbnails. And I've provided pre-made thumbnails for each of the avatars. You can, however, make your own if you decide to customize yours down the line. But you want to click, select the thumbnail, and then if you're uploading this as a public avatar, it defaults to private, but if you're uploading this as a public avatar, all I would ask is that you enter credits made by ScoutArtz here. It's not a requirement, but I would appreciate if you did that. Then all you have to do is hit build and publish, and it will go through the process of uploading, compiling, and getting your avatar ready to use in-game. That should be it. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, you might get an issue here where it says locking materials. This is just a process with Pyomi. It doesn't affect anything. You just want to do this because it will make it compile a little bit faster. So just hit OK, and after a little bit, it'll build everything and it will allow you to use it in game. If you'd like to customize your Pupper from the ground up, I highly suggest using the naked version here. What I usually like to do is make a copy of it, and then just rename it to whatever you want. You don't even have to really name it. Rename it, and open it up here. This gives you a completely blank version of the avatar with all the functionality, but it just lacks the clothing and the face tracking and the extra ears. To customize it, all you have to do is come over here to the prefab section and figure out what you want to do. If you want to add clothing to them, you just grab the accessories prefab, which is already packaged up and ready to go. It looks a little silly down here, but don't worry about that. You want to click and drag this onto the Pupper custom up here. You want to drag this directly on here, not below here, but drag directly on this right here. And it will pop the clothing object onto the actual avatar, and with VRC Fury, it will automatically bind it together. So you can upload this right now and it just works. By default, I have most of the clothing hidden except for the collar. This is just how I have it set up for the in-game toggles. If you would like to show the clothing or certain clothing items by default, just open this up, accessories 1, come to the blend shapes, and you have all these hide options right here. they show each individual part. However, if you do this, you lose the functionality in game, and I don't really recommend it. And for stuff like the hoodie, you're gonna have to disable the chest fluff, disable the physics. This is all handled in game, and so I don't really recommend it. However, you can do it if you would really like to. If you'd like to use a different ear or hairstyle, you first want to come down here to the ears and hair folder and pick what options you want. For the ears, there's a regular version and a face track version. The face track version has specific animations to use with the eye and face tracking. They're a little bit more reactive, but either or will work. Just this is what you get. So for this, I'm going to customize it for face tracking, and I want the ears folded. And so what I'm going to do, much like the clothing, I'm going to click, I'm going to drag it up here to Pupper Custom, and it's going to pop it onto the avatar. However, as you can see here, the existing ears are still showing. Unfortunately, there's no way for me to automatically hide it, or else I would have done that. So what we're going to want to do here is come over to body, scroll open up the blend shapes menu like we did before. You want to scroll all the way down here until you see the hide section, and you're going to hide the ears. Just click and drag this slider, and the ears will shrink into the head, and you'll have your regular ears. After this, you're going to want to come over here to the fizz bones and find the ear fizz bone option, and you're going to want to disable the entire object. This just disables the physics for the old ears. Now the current ears, these have their own physics set up automatically. And again, like the clothing, it will automatically bind so long as it's part of the actual hierarchy. You want to make sure there's nothing outside of here. So it will automatically bind, and it will just work. And because we have this little face tracking prefab in here, it will automatically just work with the face tracking. To change the texture, say you don't want the golden ears on it. Say you do, I mean, if you do, that's totally fine. But if you don't want that, you can come over here to text and mats, go to hair and ears 01, and you can pick whichever texture you want. Again, I have this set up to where if you decide to texture this and you like customize it, say you wanted to put spots on this, you would just export your textures out from Painter to this custom, and it will automatically update here. Or it might, I'm not sure actually. But you can take this and click and drag it onto here, and whenever you update these textures, it will update that. Say you want, for instance, you want different color ears like the beagle ears, you can do the same. Just whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. Just pick and choose what you like. But for my example, I'm going to go back to the custom here, click and drag, and there you go. The ears are now in place. And for the hair, it's the same process. You want to come back to the prefabs, ears and hair, and you want to select which hairstyle you want. Since Goldie already has the folded ears and the long hair, let's try something a little bit different. We're going to grab the hair bangs, click and drag it onto our avatar. We're going to select the body, blend shapes, and go all the way down to the hide section once again. We're going to click and drag hide hair front, and that will hide the front of the hair. You can also hide the back of the hair if you choose, if you decide you want to make your own hairstyles down the line. In fact, a lot of the objects and parts on this avatar can be hidden if you decide you need it down the line. But for now, we're just going to hide the front of the hair. You can also, in the extra stuff here, use a corrective shape key that I've added that will blend the back of the hair a bit better to the bangs hairstyle. I also have one for the long hair, and that's already set up on Goldie if you need. So like before, we're going to come back to the fizz bones, and we're going to select our hair object, or hair fizz bones, and we're just going to disable it. And like before, they already have their own physics set up on them, and they're automatically bound, and so you can upload your avatar as is, and everything will just work. One last final thing. Since I plan to use face tracking with this avatar, I need to add in the face tracking prefab. So if you've installed the VRC FT Jerry's templates in the VRChat Creator Companion, you can come here to the side list here, scroll all the way down to VRC FT Jerry's templates, you can go to prefabs, and you want to select VRC Fury Face Tracking UE Blend Shapes. This is the only one that will work with this avatar. So you want to click and drag it onto the avatar, and it will automatically bind and just work. You don't have to do anything else, just upload your avatar and you're good to go. If you've opened up your Blender file and all the textures are pink and missing like this, don't fret. It's because all the original pathways were set up on my own computer. To fix this, you want to go to File, External Data, and find Missing Files. Then you want to go back to your Unity project and you want to right-click on Text and Mats, hit Show in Explorer, make sure you're in the Text and Mats folder, and then you want to come up here and click and copy the pathway to the Textures folder. You want to come back to Blender, you want to come up here and hit Paste, and make sure you're in that folder. Then you want to click Find Missing Files, and it will automatically grab all the custom files, texture files for your avatar. And this is great because if you decide to export from Substance Painter into the custom versions here, it will automatically update it both in Unity and Blender when you reload everything. If you would like to add the Goldie, original Husky, Shep, and all those other skins in here, you're going to have to add those manually, but I'm not going to explain that here, but it should be easy to do. If you've made modifications to your mesh and wish to export it back out to Unity, you want to make sure that the mesh that you've modified and the armature are the only things you have selected before exporting. So for this example, I'm going to use the body and the armature, and I'm going to hide the accessories for now. If you've modified the accessories, you just select those two. So first we're going to want to make sure the armature is selected and then the body. And we're going to come down here to the data tab and make sure that we have the basis shape key selected. This will give us a neutral shape to triangulate on so we don't run into any shading issues later on. Before we do anything else, we want to come over to File and we want to save our blend file. So make sure we have a non-triangulated state to revert back to after we're done. After you've done that, you want to go into edit mode and you want to make sure the entire mesh is selected and you want to hit Ctrl T. We have to manually triangulate because of limitations within the FBX exporter and modifiers. It sucks we have to do this, but this is how it's done. Now afterwards, you want to go to File, Export, FBX, and you want to navigate to wherever you've set up your Unity project. So for mine, it's VRChat stuff, my Pupper, and we want to go to Assets, Pupper, and FBX. And whichever mesh you're planning on replacing, you want to click it and make sure it's selected here. It'll glow red when you have the potential for overwriting the existing file. For export settings, you want to make sure you copy everything I have here. I've also included these options as a screenshot in the download so you have them for future reference. When you've done all that, you want to click Export FBX and it should export everything back in and propagate your changes to the existing model. After you've exported your model, you want to go to File and Revert. This will revert your model to its pre-triangulated state so you can keep editing it as you wish. However, I don't recommend doing this as the potential for messing stuff up is quite high. I've made the model quite modular, and so you should be able to add and edit stuff and hide stuff without having to modify the underlying mesh, but I've just included this as a reference in case you need it. I appreciate you watching through this video, and I really appreciate you purchasing my base. If you run into any issues or have any suggestions or feedback for future releases, please join the Discord linked on the main page, verify your purchase, and you'll be led into the Pupper Lounge. In there's a suggestion and feedback channel and a help and support channel if you need it. I hope you guys enjoyed this base. I've put a lot of time, effort, and love into it, and I'm so excited to see what you guys do with it.